Welcome to the Fire Fam. You're listening to the latest podcast of 2025, Fire Chats. And I'm your host, Lucy Rint, and this is my standard poodle Bo. So, without further ado, strike a match, settle in, and let's get chatting. Touch noses. Hey, Fire Fam, welcome back. Today we're going to talk all about relationships and proposals, engagement, and maybe a little bit of marriage. The whole reason I'm talking about this topic of specifically proposals is because this past weekend I photographed a proposal for the first time. I am a photographer, so I was super excited and thrilled. So I did teach the person that was getting proposed to back when they were in high school. I taught them English, and their boyfriend reached out to me and was like, I want to do a proposal. I'm going to propose to this person. And it was so cute, and I was so excited for both of them. But we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about not necessarily that specific proposal, but we're going to talk about proposal in general, maybe from someone who wants to propose and what you could be going through as someone wanting to be proposed to, and maybe even the photographer's point of view of what I experienced. So, I guess to start, let's just talk a little bit about the idea and concept of a proposal and engagement. So, being in a relationship back when I was 18 or 19 is when I started dating my husband now when I was 18. And I think the whole time that I was in that relationship, I always just kind of, even before that relationship, I always had this thought and idea in my mind that I wanted to get married one day. And I've always kind of been told, like, like wait until marriage, like stuff like that. And to you know, always kind of, it was ingrained in my brain to be getting married one day. So I think I always had this idea that I wanted to get married. So I never dated just to date. I dated to be with that person and to hopefully find the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. And that's always been my mindset and my goal ever since I was like thinking about boys. So I would say definitely my mindset was, and like a lot of, and I would say that my mindset, as well as a lot of other people's mindset, is definitely based on wanting to get married and wanting to eventually get proposed to or engaged at some point when you're dating. So, what I'm saying, I guess, was when I was 18 and I was dating my now husband, I always thought, like, okay, yeah, we're going to get married. Like, this is who I want to spend the rest of my life with. And I think for me at the time, a lot of like my mindset has changed from then to now. Because for me at that time, after a couple years of dating, I was like, hey, well, why isn't he asking me to marry him yet? And it's been like a year now. And I'm like, okay, it's been 2 years. But in the moment, you're like, you're so consumed with one another that you're like, why, like, have we not gotten engaged yet? Like, when are we getting married? Like, if that's like your mindset, because I think a lot of the reason why you want to get married and engaged is not necessarily because you're thinking about, oh, you want to spend the rest of your life together. And as a girl, you don't really want your boyfriend to think that you're content being with them without getting married if that's what you're wanting. Even though I would say my mindset now has changed where I really could care less about marriage, which is funny. I love being married, and I really I cherish being married and I like that part of my life. But if I didn't know Roy, my husband, if I didn't know him and we had never dated, for example, and say I was single right now and I'm 28 now, uh, I don't think I would really be so concerned about marriage and wanting to get married and that whole title of being like, Mr. and Mrs. Like, I don't think I would be as obsessed with it. Not that I was even really obsessed with it before, but of course, like when you're a girl and you have girlfriends and you that's literally what you talk about when you're like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 even. You're talking about the ring, you're talking about what you want your wedding dress to look like, where you want to get married. This is like what girls that age are obsessed with. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but that's what I was obsessed with at the time, especially if you're in a relationship. If you're not in a relationship, then you're probably not going to be as obsessed with it, but it's definitely something that my friends and I always would talk about with each other, like in our relationships. Like we would be talking about, this weekend we're going to this place. I wonder if he's going to propose. And then I think that we just build up this concept of a proposal and an engagement and marriage for whatever reason. And maybe some of it's to do with social media and what we see around us and this like perfect dream wedding or magazines. Like you just see a lot of commercialism around marriage and like not the reality of what that is. And so I think it's like, you see it's like you're looking through rose colored glasses like at that age and you're like, "Oh, I just want to get married." But I don't think that that's always the case. So for me, it depends on the person. And for us and my relationship, I feel like at least for me, I was quite mature. My husband, I can't speak for him, but he was mature in ways. And of course, I'm not always like the only mature one, but I was mature, I would say, for my age. And I always had a goal. I was in university. I wanted to become a teacher or do some sort of profession where I would have a stable job and career. And that was always kind of just my like, very by the book, I would say at that age. And I think that's because that's what they kind of taught us in high school is to be, you get out of high school, you go to school, you get in a relationship, maybe you get married, you have kids, just like that, cookie cutter life. And that's what I kind of had for myself. But now as I got older, I was doing all this. I got married, which was super exciting and fun and I loved getting married to my husband and I'm so happy we are married. But uh the whole concept of a marriage I think is not really talked about so much compared to the bling and the pizzazz that comes along with it, like the ring, for example, or like your wedding venue or your wedding dress or your bridesmaids, like the whole fun part of it. I think that a lot of that gets takes over what the reality of a marriage really is. And so, yeah, I think now, like, I think I can also say that I'm more like I don't know, just more confident in being alone, probably, and like not so concerned about marriage now because I've been married and I got married. And, like after all these years of building it up in my mind, I like it, and you do it and you get married and you're married and you have a wedding. I didn't actually have a wedding, I eloped. My husband and I, we eloped. And after you do all of that, though, like you do the whole wedding process and everything, you get your dress, you get the ring, you have your special moment and it's like, oh, okay, well, that was fun, but like it's not like what I always imagined, I guess, in my mind. For me, like when I was a kid, I always imagined that I would have this nice big wedding, like with a bunch of my family and friends, probably like 100 people. That's kind of the wedding I envisioned for myself. And we just like that just wasn't the reality for us. And we were dealing with lots of different things like COVID was a thing at the time, like the pandemic and just like family stuff. And just, yeah, we just did our own thing because we were like, this is insane. We had the flood just happen in Sumas Prairie at the time. This was all during 2021, like 2020, 2021. And then in 2021 is when we ended up just like eloping because we were like, okay, do we even bother planning a wedding at this point? So we didn't just elope. I shouldn't say just elope because eloping is honestly, I think, in my opinion, after eloping, is so much more intimate and real and in the moment with each other and talking, like being present with each other on your wedding day, which I think it should be, than I think a big wedding would be. Because I hear all these brides telling me, and like my friends and family say to me, like, yeah, like my wedding was a blur. I don't even remember who I talked to or who was even there. Like they can't even remember what happened really because everything just went by so quickly and like just they were so busy it seems like and just like not really focusing on what was really going on, their courtship and their marriage and the legal agreement that day that they made to one another and the vows that they made to one another. And sure, you do take that time, I hope, and a lot of photographers, I was going to say, make sure that they get the couple alone after the ceremony and before the reception, just so that they can kind of have that time. And I think that a lot of couples like ask if they can do this just because they want to have that moment to themselves, which I really think is nice. But a big wedding versus a small wedding or an elopement, there are very big differences. And if I could give any advice to anybody about what to do for their wedding, I would say elope. Or have a small wedding with like your closest friends and family, like maybe maximum 15-20 people. Those I think are the like most special types of gatherings and weddings. And don't worry about who might be offended that they weren't invited to this wedding. Don't worry about that kind of stuff. Like, this isn't really about other people, it's about you. And it's the one time that you could be selfish, I guess you could say, but also within reason. Do be mindful of like other people and their feelings, because like you don't want to cause like turmoil in your family or your friendships. So just really think about that, or even talk to them about it beforehand if you're willing to do that and you're willing to have that conversation about getting married and eloping. If you don't want to keep it like a surprise, like if you're able to tell people and just say that this is why we're doing it, and I'm really sorry that you can't be there, but this is what we're doing. I want to talk a little bit now about the proposal that I shot on the weekend. So it was so cute, and I've never shot a proposal, so I was really stoked about that. And I got out there with my camera and I just, went with the plan that we had in place. But I was gonna say, and I felt like I was rocking it. And I also had an assistant with me who just like filmed and like got everything on camera and made sure like all these extra angles were captured. So that was really like comforting and relieving to have in addition to my camera shooting. So what I wanted to talk about was the planning and everything for it. So I was just so taken aback by the boy who reached out to me and wanted to plan this proposal, and he knew everything about it that he wanted to do. He had it perfectly planned out. And of course, like we went back and forth a little bit on tossing around ideas and stuff. And yeah, just like trying to think of the best way to make this proposal as perfect as possible. And it ended up being so good. And one thing that I really took away from it and appreciated was that he kind of was like understanding that it was my first time shooting a proposal as well. So he kind of was like telling me little things too, like, oh, like on the day of, he says that, my ring's in my right pocket, just so you know, for when you're shooting, which was like so helpful to know, because I feel like as a photographer, like I'm not going to think about that if I've never shot a proposal, maybe. So it was super helpful to hear stuff like little things like that, that like in the future now, if I shoot another proposal, I can say, I can ask the person or suggest like, hey, whatever side you're going to be kneeling, and then I'm shooting from, make sure like if that's your right side that is going to be closest to the camera, then make sure that the ring is in the right pocket, stuff like that, so I could be the one to do that next time. And so I really enjoyed the whole process just because I got to take a lot from it and learn and grow as a photographer. And now I can apply that to future photo shoots where I get to do proposals, as I'm like obsessed with doing proposals right now. So if you're looking to get married, hit me up, because I can help you plan this proposal and I will shoot it very well for you. I promise. Another thing I just want to throw out there is, if you are planning a proposal and you're very excited for it, of course, but you might also be nervous. So, something that I actually told the couple that I did their proposal, I shot the proposal. The guy told me he was nervous, and I just said to him, it's okay to be nervous, because it just means you care, really. Like, that's what I always told my students when I was teaching, is that, no matter what, like if you're nervous, it's actually a good thing. So when you're nervous, it just means you care and that you want the best for this special moment. And that's what makes this special, because you care so much. And I think that that's the beauty of the whole thing, is the nerves and the butterflies and the ooh and ah. I think I just think that it's great to be nervous in situations like that. And even for me, like as a photographer or someone doing something like that for someone who's getting proposed to or proposing, I I feel nervous sometimes too, and I think because it's such an intimate moment, and I wouldn't normally get nervous for like a photo shoot, but because this one was so unique and special and like a proposal, it just felt like a lot of pressure and trying to make sure everything was good for timing and like lighting and just all the little things and making sure they were set up appropriately with a good backdrop. I set the scene, stuff like that. You have to like think about all the little things that make it perfect. Talking back now, just in general about proposals and engagements, something that I wish that I didn't do when I was younger was talk so much about, not necessarily so much, but I wish I didn't talk about getting proposed to. I wish that I just left it into the hands of my boyfriend at the time. I'm like my husband. No, I wish I just left it into the hands of him to just kind of do what he wanted. And I did do that to some extent, but I know we've had conversations about, oh, like getting engaged or when do you think you're gonna propose? Like how long do you want to be together before this happens? Like I wish I didn't ask questions like that just because I don't know. I just feel like I took away from the surprise aspect of it. And I feel like maybe I pried a little too much when I shouldn't have. Not like saying, you better propose to me. I just mean like I ask questions about, like, you know, when it's happening. Like, I'm so excited. I just want to get married. And, like, and that's okay. Cause, like, I guess if you're comfortable with that person, then you can share those things with them. But I do think that I took away from the surprise element of the proposal a little bit, just because we talked about the timeline kind of, and so I was kind of expecting it, which I wish I didn't want to expect it. So yeah, for anyone out there who's in a relationship and they want to really get proposed to, for sure have a conversation about, like, one day I would like to get engaged and blah blah blah, but don't put a timeline on it. Don't like say hopefully in the next couple of years or hopefully in the year, like stuff like that. Like hope don't do that. As one big regret that I have that I did when we were dating. So if I could give any of my experience and advice to anybody, that's it. So another thing is I feel like doing that, you put like this extra pressure on the guy and or the person proposing, and it's not really fair to them. So if I wanted to get proposed to so badly, I should have proposed. So if you're the one that's like, okay, I want to get married, bam, ask someone to marry you. Um, but yeah, I think I just really loved being with him, and I just wanted my life to start. Like I felt like my life couldn't start until I was fully like until I was married. Like I don't know why I had that ideal in my mind, an idea, but that's again back to the mindset thing of when I was younger and having that cookie cutter lifestyle. Like I just always felt like I was trying to get to a point that I envisioned for myself that really doesn't really matter if you're married or not. Now I look at it and I'm like, okay, it doesn't really matter, but being married is a really comforting thing, I guess you could say. Like I find it to be really nice to feel the support emotionally from someone uh when you're married, like like that's my husband. You just there's a little bit more formality to it, and you just feel like it's all a little bit more serious, and that that person has your back and vice versa. Like that's my husband, like I will do whatever for him, like he is my other half, I am his helper, like that kind of vibe. We are each other's team. There's nothing that's going to break us apart. I do like that mentality of being married and knowing like the security around it, and knowing that like I know it's silly to say, but like just because it's a legal document that creates a marriage legally, um I guess it just makes it more legit. And yeah, it just makes it more legit. And I think when you're not married, you just feel like, I don't know if it's just me, if this is how I just felt, but you feel like almost like anything could happen that could, separate you apart. Like anything could happen where you're no, like, like you don't have to try to be together if things aren't going well. Whereas if you really love that person and this is your person and they get along with you and your family and vice versa, then even if things aren't going well sometimes, that when you're married, you should continue to try and work things out. And you know, it really does. When you get in little, like funks in your relationship, and I've been with my husband for 10 years this year now, and when you've been together for so long, obviously you're going to have ups and downs in your relationship. But when I look at the whole thing, I look at the majority of the relationship as being positive. And yeah, for sure, there was really tough times throughout the time that we've been together, but we always seem to work it out. And whatever time it takes to do that, we've always done it. And it's because we have this unconditional love for one another. And I feel like it's just like a really special connection that we both have with one another. And like, I don't know, I feel like he's almost like family. That's how I consider my husband, to be like someone I have unconditional love for. Like, even if he did, Roy, if you hear this, don't do this. But even if he did like the worst thing to me, obviously within reason, even if he did the worst thing, I feel like part of me would still love him, just because I feel like he is literally like family. Like I know that sounds weird, but yeah, I consider him to be like my family, which he is. So I don't know. That's just my take on marriage and being together for a long time, and what that might look like, and the struggles that you might face while being married. But yeah, being with someone who you really love and you find that person, it's rare. So when you do, for anyone out there, you're in a relationship maybe and you're thinking, do I really want to like propose? Do I really want to get engaged or marry this person? I would just say do it, because YOLO. And no, I would just say do it, because it's not every day that you find the person that you're meant to be with. And there's people out there who wish and hope that they could find someone that would work out with them, but they can't. So do what you think is best for you at the end of the day, though. And if you can find someone to share those moments with and live with and be with for the rest of your life, then you're lucky, and that's a privilege. So, to wrap things up, I want to hear from you. So, if you can write in the comments below or just message me, anything like that, I want to hear whatever you're thinking about in regards to like proposals, engagement, marriage, relationships. Like, here's some questions I'll just throw out there and you can answer whatever ones. But so, here's one question. Do you think that people and couples should talk a lot about an engagement and a proposal, or when it's going to happen, I guess? And do you think that there should be a surprise element or no? The other thing is how long do you think you should wait before you propose to someone? Uh, for me, I personally think that it should be like 2 to 3 years if you're really serious and you're both older. But like in your mid to late 20s, I would say like 2 to 3 years dating, and then it should be like, okay, are we getting married or not? And then after that, I feel like 30 plus, like 1 to 2 years. Like the older you get, the why wait longer. Like, if you're younger, then you have the time to wait. But if you love that person, just like the couple that I did their photography on the weekend, the photo shoot for the proposal, sorry, uh, they're young. They're 19 and 20, and they clearly know they love each other. And I find it quite comforting to see people who are young like that, um, taking that taking the chance, taking the moment that they're in and saying, like, this is the life I want to live, and this is who I want to spend it with. And they clearly get that. And um yeah, that goes for anybody that age getting married. And like, I wish that I could have married Roy earlier, just because I feel like why did we wait any longer than we did? I mean, we waited 4.5, 5 years before we actually got married. But yeah, I would say, like, for myself, I knew after about a year to 2 years that I was like, okay, I think this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. So I don't know. Tell me what you think. How long you should be together before you get married, and I want to hear if you think that social media and just like the world around us, what we see in regards to weddings and engagements and all of that, uh, if the things around us are influencing our decisions around engagements and marriage and getting proposed to. So if you can, leave a comment below to any of those questions I had, and I look forward to hearing from you.